Easy, how are we?
Shawnee, I'm not so bad. I'm not so bad. I got out of bed to go for a run this morning, and
Good.
yeah, I did 15 minutes.
Is this New Year's resolution still on track, Eric? Yeah, 15 minutes a day.
Yeah. I've been bad at getting up early, so I went and did it, and I was hoping I'd stay out for longer, but there was no wind and it was too fucking hot, so I'm gonna go out later and finish it. So I did 15 minutes to be like, right, box ticked, and then get back because I've been staying in bed. I've been a bit lazy in the mornings. Can't get my sleep cycle back to normal after the Christmas, really. But so that's the reason I made myself get out of bed. But talking about being tired during the night, mine are nothing in comparison to you. What the hell's going on? You snuck
Well,
another event in. You said nothing all week. I don't know whether that's cowardism or did you actually not
I,
know
I,
you were going to do it?
I didn't. It was completely idiotic. Me and you talking the podcast a couple weeks ago, like off it, and I'm like, I did that 5K. I genuinely could not walk the rest of the day. I had no business doing this, and I was like, what's the point? And then I said, you know what? On Sunday, I went for a run with Roshan and Stephen out in Clane. I was like, if I can do a 16K then, and I'm going to take on the hills around here on Tuesday, I'll do the event. I genuinely did not know.
What was
So
that
this
event?
16, the Art O'Neill, 60K, through the night, through the mountains and all the rest. So I barely got through 16K. And I'm like, I'm not fit. On the Tuesday, I did the hills. And I had to walk the second big hill going up. And usually I can run it. I'm like, oh, I'm not fit. But the back didn't hurt. So the only person I told was Neve. And on Wednesday, then Neve just goes, well. And you know that scene in Liar Liar where he kicks his own ass in the toilet and he comes out and like he's like, well, he's got
my own ass.
and he's gotten away with it. And then the judge goes, can you do it? And I was like, physically, the back's not at me. I could do it. And she's like, you are a fucking idiot. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I know, but I genuinely would rather fail it again than try and sleep that night, not doing it and knowing what was going on. So that was the plan. It was just, so I got on my gear on Wednesday night, Thursday, and I was like, right, like I kept very quiet about this. Like those people, I was in work Friday afternoon for a couple of hours and people were asking what's your plans for the weekend. I'm like, I might go for a long run, you know, might just go run and see what happens. Like,
You didn't even say that to me. Little rat.
No,
I was just
I
seeing
didn't
the fucking post. I was like, this gobshite.
because I wasn't sure. And even as I was there, like I had a bit of food and stuff I was eating throughout today in work. And I was like, I was still kind of second guessing it because now I had all my gear and stuff. I went down early to get my compass and stuff. Not that I ever use it, but they are very, and rightly so, they are very strict on the mandatory check. Like when you get there, your bag comes out. They go through everything and get through it. Like there's been other events like, yeah, no, it's in the bag. And I'm like, no, I need to see it. Like, so like they go through everything. That's the right thing to do. But like, and even as I'd finished, I was like, how am I doing? I just got back and like Neve had food and already can go down. I was like, right, I guess I'm going down to do this. But we got there just after 10 o'clock and around 10:30, the man's like, the last non-compete, take off, let's go. And a few people took off and Neve's like, why aren't you going now? I was like, my wave starts at 11 for compete. And she's like, you're not competing though. You just want to finish.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, people listen to this and probably did it. Go, yeah, Seán, you're an idiot. Like, you're out for the night, and like, I think your times and stuff count. Not that I wanted my times to count doing this because I knew it wasn't going to go on great. I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm starting at 11 for the big buzz start and all the rest. And I was talking to some people there. I didn't know about this. Did you know why? Like, obviously, three boys escaped prison back in 1592 and all the rest. But do you know any of their background about that kind of thing?
Not really, no. I know, yeah, the basic premise of it, that's all I know.
Well, I didn't. This whole thing. I'm going to speak very little on this for other people to research it because my recall is terrible, especially because I was half shitting it before I started this race. But I was talking to people about it. Like this all led to the 9-year war and all the rest. Like they were political prisoners that Queen Elizabeth. Oh, am I writing that? Oh God, I don't even know I'm right now. But kept in and all the rest, and like the Spanish and all were involved in the war, like and you know for rebellions and everything else. Like I didn't know what the three boys were in for. Never really thought about it that much. But the history in it that I was learning was like, this is phenomenal. But at the same time, listening to it, I was like, oh man, how the fuck am I gonna get through this? So like my plan was just try and conserve as much energy as I could. Because the last time I did this was like I took off hot out of the gates. I met you 10K in the pisses of rain. And I remember
Yeah.
you telling me afterwards when you saw me go, you're like, oh, he's too much energy used. He's fucked. He's in a bad way. Like, whereas I was smarter in my lead up, except for one thing. I accidentally shaved my beard off. I didn't mean to
Oh,
do
it's gonna be
it.
freezing.
Yeah.
Why would you do it?
I kept,
And it was
well,
a prisoner. It was a prisoner beard. You could
I
justify
know.
it.
I could just the one day of the year I could actually justify this horrific beard on me, and I shaved. What happened was early that day, the plastic gimmick wasn't on right, and it just went whoop, half the mustache gone. I'm like, I shaved the other half off. I'm like, oh, that's definitely not allowed. So the whole thing had to go.
The
Had to
other
go.
half off. Oh man.
Oh, I would have had a bit underneath the nose. I'm
Ah.
like, someone else had that gimmick, and it didn't work out too well. So I was like, right, we'll just go for it. So we started. I kind of came. I was behind a certain a group. I was like at the back of that crew for the first 12, 13K, and then it gets mad uphill. And I was like, right, I have to walk. And like ever so often they get a little bit further than me. Like I wasn't getting too far away from because I was walking pretty fast. But like soon, by the time I got to 19K, like it was gone. And the only saving grace was like for the first part of this road race, there's constantly the Dublin Wicklow Mountain Rescue Team and the ambulance. They're constantly going like segments up and up and up. I think their cue was, and they seen me pass to go up to the next one again. That's what it felt like. So like when I got to 19K, I was just like, oh man, this is just do what we can here. There's a nice little downhill for the most part. By the time I got into checkpoint one, well, sorry, no, the Capure Estate, I think I was 10 minutes faster than I was 3 years ago, but it was so much quieter. I mean, like the last time I was there, it was packed. Like it was trying hard to find a spot. I was also freezing back then because I just hadn't got waterproof gear and it pissed rain for 25K. Felt a little bit better. But at the same time, I was like, where the fuck is everyone? Like, and like,
where was everyone?
I think they were in and gone. I think they were all, I don't know, like, I started at the back, I stayed at the back, people were just in, gone, and just, like, I mean, 2:45 for 25K with that hills, like, it's not setting the world alight in terms of pace.
No, but it's not slow either.
I didn't think it was that bad, but if I was like, I think I'm last, and then they had a big screen there, and I saw like only 2 or 3 numbers left still to come in. And then I realized that wasn't really refreshing either. So I think they were gone. So like there's a few was still in there. And then like people were packed up to leave. I was like, I think I'm fucking last here. So at that stage, all the waterproofs went on, like jacket, bottoms, like everything. Like I knew I had actually this is the one thing I have you on. And we went in 2 years for this. 2 years ago, I told you I spent €45 on waterproof socks. You told me it's stupid to spend that much money on that. These were lifesavers. These socks were fucking phenomenal. Like, do you know when you first start going to train, like, I don't know about this. And then when I wasn't feeling my feet getting wet, I was just jumping through everything at that stage. So that was great. But still at this stage, I had a good bit to go to get there. I was out. There was 2 people ahead of me when I started checkpoint out of Capure State. Say after 3-4 minutes, they were gone. And like that was the last time I saw someone that was doing the ultra.
Was it? Were they just running quicker? Where did they go? Did they take a
Much
different
quicker.
route?
No. At this stage, there's no other route. There is
One way.
the navigation doesn't start at 32K or so. So we're all going the same way. They're just it's just bananas what they're doing. They're just gone. Like they're just gone is the only way I could. Now maybe someone can correct me afterwards and say, yeah, no, Seán, I was actually 2 or 3 people behind you. I don't know. But I could see no one passed. The good thing was no one passed me out at this stage. No one took my soul because they already had at the very start of the race. They were gone. But at 29, it was probably the worst part of the night because I was 2-3K away from navigation beginning and everything was hurting. Lower back, hips, knees, shin splints, jumping from one to the other and then back to the right. And I never left my right leg for the night. Like it was just like it was a constant 2, 3, 4 out of 10 pain. And at that stage, I was like, right, I'm just going to walk. And it was annoying because I had 3K to like get a bit of time and stuff. And only in terms of finishing quicker to like get into a warm car.
Yeah,
more
for
so
you.
than make it.
Yeah, then
for me,
setting a
it
record.
wasn't
Yeah.
it wasn't a race. It was just setting records. And I was still a little bit unsure about checkpoints and all the rest because I'd failed this one before in terms of checkpoints. But I had to walk and like I eventually got to around a kilometer away from navigation point started. and I could see all the torchlights. I'm like, oh, I'm not that bad. I'm not that far behind some people. Later, I found out when I got closer to those people, there was a group that was just starting. They were trekkers. So they had started 3-4 hours before me and they were walking the whole thing. And I'm not saying walk is the bad thing, good thing. Anyone who does this, I've the utmost respect for. Even those who just did the purest one, the pursuit one, sorry, where you do a 20K, 25K run to pure state. To treat that part as a race and try and run that as fast as you can with that last 10K, like that's phenomenal. But they were out earlier, and then I remember seeing like there was one right before the navigation part starts. There was a Dublin Wicklow Mountain Rescue Team truck there, and a lad there. I was like, "Seán, just go up to him and just say you're done because it's like you're about to enter the navigation part. You're about to enter this mad terrain and stuff. The socks are doing great, but they're not that great, Seán. You're looking at
They're not a GPS sock.
you're looking at 20 minutes a kilometer at this stage. Like technically, at 30K, I'm halfway through, but I knew there was a lot more involved in
More
that
to
second
go.
30K.
Yeah.
A lot more. There's a lot more 20-minute kilometers instead of 6-minute kilometers. So I knew, I was like, just walk up and quit, just walking up and quit. And then I saw myself like almost out of body, just walking past them, going, "What are you doing? Why are you walking past them? Why are you starting this?" And there was a group in front of me at the very start of it, and they were all talking for ages. I was just slotting in behind them for a second.
Just
And they're
hold
like, "Are
on to
we in
them.
your way?" Yeah, they're like, "Are we in your way?" And I was like, "Nah, I just kind of need a moment." And then one of the lads said it like his back was at him and he started to quit. I'm like, "Seán, just quit with him. Just quit with him." And next thing you know, I'm walking in front of them and I'm starting the trek. I'm like, "Oh, here we go." Because once you start that, it's another 10K to get out of the field. You know you're going through that.
You're
Like
gone.
it's,
The only way
you're
back is forward. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. I mean, like, you're over in Mozambique. You're not coming down with a helicopter every time soon. They pick me up out of it. So,
No, I wouldn't even come for you if I was there.
no, you wouldn't. So I was like, right, here we go. And I like, you could see the lights going every different direction. And I knew in a way what kind of way I was going because I had recce that once before, see where I was going right. So I wasn't as nervous in that as I was a couple of years ago. And it wasn't raining too much. Like it was that misty rain, but it
Yeah,
wasn't too bad. So
you
it
were
was just,
overcast. Yeah.
yeah, it's just a slog. Every couple of steps, you're almost slipping and falling. Like, how these fuckers run, Eric, in this is just, like, I was just throughout the night just thinking, like,
What did Ricky do with it?
Ricky did this in 5 hours. And it's funny you should say that at this point, because as I started navigation, I think this was around 4:05 in the morning. No, maybe 3:05 in the morning. Either way, I'm 4 to 5 hours in this. Like, Ricky's already well past the cross at this
He's
point.
in his
Like,
bed.
if it was, he's unbelievable. Like, I can't get me head how they can run that much through it. Like, there's points later on the race where, like, I'm stepping on branches. I'm cause they're there, so they're just snapping under me. And I'm like, I'm falling on them and everything. Like, I'm just, how you can run through this is phenomenal. But it was a good hour two going through this, and like it was grand. Like I was just slogging, and then I saw one lad near a river, and he just kept staring back at me. And as I walked to him, someone else tracking it. I was never going to pass someone doing an ultra that intended to run it. He was just like, "Yeah, well, my torch is dying, so I kind of need you to help me cross the river." And we got blessed with a certain point that it wasn't
The
that bad. But
blind
still,
leading the blind.
little did he know, literally know. I'll be there putting on a bit of confidence. "Yeah, you want to stay alive, you stay with me." Inside going, "Oh, this poor fucker." Trusting me
God.
right now. And if I haven't mentioned or this hasn't got across so far, if anyone's ever listening back to this and thinking, maybe I should trust what Seán says doing Art O'Neill, don't.
Nah.
I'm not. I'm pretty far from an expert. But anyway,
Wow.
we found a half decent part of the river, went through, and then it just got this thorny kind of mesh. Like I don't know what kind of bush it is. You probably know more than I do of it. And it was just 3-4K at that to the gate, and it was just miserable, slogging through. Once again, thinking, and I think it's the only thing that got me through it. How do people race this event? How are they sprinting through it? Like we previous guests, the podcast that did it, Neve Fitzpatrick, Shawnee Meehan, I think came second or third in it. Like just unbelievable. I'm just thinking, like, how are they doing it? But eventually I got to the gate and it was around 6:20 or so at this stage. When I tried 3 years ago and I got lost and ended up in a random set of people, I got out of that field around 8 o'clock or so. So like I had an hour
Wow,
40 at least on myself. And it wasn't because I was faster, because faster and quicker are not the right words to use here.
Yeah.
It was
No.
just the right direction more so than anything else. I definitely wasn't faster per se. I was just more direct on it, but still couldn't run. So I had 3K to the checkpoint, and all I could do was just march it. So it was still another 30
30
minutes from
minutes
getting
at
that checkpoint.
least, 40 minutes.
Yeah. Oh man, it was the nicest cup of coffee I'd had in a long time. Like, and that's not talking about the quality of coffee. That's just the appreciation for it. And I got there around 7 o'clock, and a couple of biscuits and a banana forced it down me. And then I was like, right, 4K to Arts Cross, 13K to the finish, there's 17K left. Surely you could do this. And as I was thinking that,
Stop
the
calling me Shirley.
heavens opened. The heavens opened. I started to piss rain, and I was like, oh, it was getting too easy, of course. Waterproofs, hood up again, right? Let's go. And there's a pathway up, and I'm following the path, and the watch is beeping, the watch is beeping, the watch is beeping. I'm like, oh, knock it off, will you? What am I doing wrong? I looked, I was like, you're off course. How am I off course? I only started the path. And I came back and I saw it's like a 4 or 5 foot climb into like a load of different Christmas trees and stuff. And I'm like, so I got lost for 20 minutes in there. And I should say at this point, I'd only recce this once before. Shout out to Ciara Smullen, who's in the podcast, and Neve Brophy. I think she won it one year. I'm 100%, but I seen her before the start of the race and stuff, and she's like, "Oh, I'll see you at the end." I'm like, "You'd be well gone by the time I finish."
Yeah.
But they did class again this year. Shout out to the two of them. And I remember the one thing Ciara said to me was, it's mad in a year how much you forget in terms of recceing. And I remember me thinking, I'm pretty decent. Like, memory wise, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I think I'll remember. Let me tell you, I was wrong. So, like, I was going through these trees. I'm like, I think I'll come across near a river and stuff. So, if I go diagonal, it'll be quicker. What I didn't know is I went straight. I would go straight up onto the path, and the path takes me down another 2K to the river. So, I was going diagonal up, and I was looking at the watch, and the watch map wasn't zoomed in enough. So, it looked like I was closer to where I was to the thing. So, that was another mistake on my part. So, 20, 30 minutes, and like there's broken branches, you're putting your foot in it, and it's just snapping, and you're falling into the ground again. I'm like, once again, how are fuckers racing this? Because I'm just getting smacked by Christmas trees. It was that bad. I was almost like,
You
I
love
never want to see.
Christmas. Thought that would have been heaven.
I thought that as well. I was packing Christmas in. I was like, if I don't get out of this soon, like I'm going to turn into a Halloween person or something, because I can't stand on a Christmas tree. But eventually I saw the path, and I was like, oh yeah, that's because you're supposed to go straight up, but I would have had this 15 minutes sooner. And then it was a 2-3K walking down by the hill. And I got to the river I was going across, and all of a sudden the GPS goes cross straight over the river. And I'm looking and going, no, I can't cross. I don't care what I can't cross there. I have to cross later. And as I'm going down the route, I'm like, Ciara and Neve said something about staying to the river and going up. What? They said something else. I knew they said something else, but I couldn't think of what else they said. So I kept going, and eventually I was like, right, I have to cross this river. And I ended up back on course of what the watch was saying. At this point, I should point out, I'm following Ricky Wynn's GPS on what I'm doing, because he won it a couple of years ago. And my thinking was he would go the most direct route to finish it, which sounds like a great idea, right?
Yeah.
Wrong. Fucking awful idea. Because Ricky, who I went the direct route, went the hardest route. And I only remembered when I was halfway up this hill, and I was literally on my hands and feet and knees crawling up the feckin' thing, that they said there was a longer route, but it's not as steep climbing it, that I should take going to Arts Cross. And there I was halfway up this feckin' mountain going, this is ridiculous. Like, it was 4K to get from checkpoint 2 to the cross. 2 hours till I eventually got to the cross. And only when I got to the top of this hill, I was looking around, and like in the distance, I have the story on it. You could barely see the cross. I'm like, is that what I think it is? Zooming in on the phone. I'm like, oh, thank God. I've only got a half hour before I get there, but I'm on the similar level to it. And I just going through it again, and all the mesh and everything else. And the cross somehow appeared out of nowhere. I'm like, oh, there it is. Deadly. Going up to the 4 lads up there listening to, actually they played Fortunate Son, which was a good sign. And I was feeling good, and I'm like, yeah, this is an Eric tune of the week right here. This means we have this 13K, and the 30 lads. And I'm like, it's mostly downhill from here, isn't it? And he goes, flat maybe. And I was like, oh. And the next part of the terrain was by far the worst. I wish I was better at describing what it was, but there was like loads of like 2, 3 foot like dips into like just this black muck and then back up at the mesh and back down again. And that went on for a kilometer. And then it started snowing. Like it was video game levels of stuff. I was like, how do we make this a little bit harder? I'm like, I cannot believe it's snowing. My face frozen. Had the snood thing 'cause you collect there, but didn't put up on my face. So I couldn't breathe the fucking thing. So I just was like, I wish I had a beard. So another 2, 3K of that. Eventually it stopped snowing and I'm on meshy grass, which I'm very fortunate at this stage to be on this kind of stuff. Hated a couple of hours ago, but compared to what I went through, I was just happy to be on this kind of stuff at this stage. And then I was going across like slant ways across a hill, and I knew eventually I get to some sort of path or something. But it was like the old video games where you're going across a road and you're driving and you see a bit of road ahead, and all of a sudden it updates and there's more road ahead, and it updates and there's more road ahead. It's a
Yeah.
constant straight. That's what this was. I'm like, oh, over this little bit of hill, maybe that's the end of it. No, it's another bit. No, it's another bit. Oh, it's another bit. And then there was a massive downhill to get around trees. And like I must have fallen 3 or 4 times down that one every which way. How I didn't tear something in my knee, I'll never know. And I eventually saw a path, and it was like
The oasis in the
Christmas.
desert.
Oh, exactly. That's a better reference than your waist. Like, oh, that's it. And I was on the path. I'm like, this is gonna take me all the way to Glenmiller. And the back of my mind was like, Seán, you're too high up. Something's coming. And I was running along this path. And like 800 meters later, the watch just goes bing, 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 bing. I look down and turn right. And do you know in like Mission Impossible where he's going like running through the buildings and he has to
Yeah.
turn it to realize he's going up and down? Oh man, the exact same thing. This was just straight, steep downhill to the river. And I'm looking at my legs and knees, go, I can't do this. I was like, I have to stick with the path. I could see the path kind of winding a bit ahead. I was like, even if it was an extra 3, 4K in the path, I can't go down this hill. Like, surely the path's not going to go to a dead end
Stop
like
calling
100
me
meters from
Shirley.
now. I will. I was like, this path can't come to an end 100 meters from now. You'll never guess what happened 100 meters from now. Dead end. Path goes
Oh,
nowhere. And I see the
no.
river and I'm like, I'll go diagonally down and try and meet it a little bit ahead. And the watch went off at one stage during this. It was 30 minutes for a kilometer because I was going that slow. How people are agile doing this, like I'm not a trail runner. I'm not a mountain runner. The idea of ever doing a Kerry Way Ultra, I thought about it after this. I don't think I could. I'm not agile. I am too old for this shit. I am so awkward going downhill, uphill, any hill. Any straight, I was awkward at this stage now, but I'm all right in that most days. I'd say I was another 30, 40 minutes and I eventually saw a trail and I'm like, ah. And then went over the river. And at this stage, it was probably around 6, 7 kilometers. And it was the first time in like maybe 6, 7 hours. I was like, I actually think I might be able to run. Like the pain was in my right shin and I was running. I was doing 7, 7.5 minute kilometer paces, but I was running and I was going down a little bit for like, I'd say a kilometer or two. And then I got slippy. So I was walking again, but then I was running and I got very slippy and I was walking again, but then I was running and I just kept going. There's a point in my stories where I was like 4.5, 5K from the finish and the crossing over the river, but the river's going over it. And I'm like, the GPS told me turn left here. And I'm looking at it going, like it was the end of the path. I'm like, how is this a thing? And like it was around a foot, 1.5 feet deep. So it wasn't that bad. But I was like, I guess I'm just gonna have to run this. And I testing out the socks here. Ran through it. The socks weren't too bad afterwards. Delighted with myself. I must have got 2, 3 messages afterwards. One from Ciara Smullen. It was like, Seán, you know, a little bit back from that to the left, there was a bridge, a proper walking bridge. You
Oh
could have
my
went through at
God.
the river. But it didn't matter. I was 4 or 5K from the finish line. I was getting there. I was back to my running, jogging routine. And then I got to 3K and the pain was just too much in the shin. And I was like, it won't be an epic finish, but I'll finish. And it was just a walk from there. And the
Oh.
last into Glenmalure, and the last 500 meters, another kick in the nuts was just another random hill. Like no need for it. I was like 500 meters. I couldn't see the finish. I couldn't see nothing. I saw this hill,
I
and
know
like
that hill.
every
I
step
know
in the
that hill,
incline,
yeah. Yeah.
oh, awful. Like it was like because my foot I couldn't bend it upwards. Every step in that was a nightmare. And I eventually got over the hill and I saw Neve with a big duvet jacket, and I was like, oh,
Give me
I
that
couldn't
jacket.
even put into the words. Just give me that jacket before I even finished. Just the relief of seeing it. Like, I've never finished a race with just pure relief, not
Yeah.
pride, not like there was no pride, there was no like because even journaling, I was just constant like, oh, I don't know if I should have done this. I don't know if this is the smartest idea to do this kind of race, the condition I was in, like and then they had which is the greatest finish of all time, wasn't the medal, much better, sausage and bacon sandwiches,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I devoured two of them before I even spoke a word to Neve. I think the first thing I said to Neve was, that was fucking ridiculous. That was like 13 and a half hours. And there was times during the night where I realized why I wanted to do it because the adventure of it is phenomenal. Like
Yeah.
it's just it can't like any race I've done, nothing beat with Art O'Neill in terms of just the absolute like adventure, the just having no actual path or trail to go through. Not sure if you're going the right way. Like when I was in that big field between checkpoint 1 and 2, seeing the lights up in the hills and going up and around the rivers and down, thinking, are they going the right way? Looking to the right, seeing people going by the farm going, are they going the right way? Like I know this is technically the fastest way, but the fact that I'm not a trail runner or anything like that, maybe this isn't the right way for me to go. And having those thoughts and just like every which weather, like there was hail at some stage, there was rain, I was in the snow, like it just in one race and just the terrain and oh my god, it was unbelievable. I'm so happy I did it. Depending how the shin feels in the next couple of days on
Yeah.
when I can run the next when I can run and build towards Dundee, which is like 4 weeks away. I'm really nervous about that because I don't think I could do Dundee if I'm not doing under 5 hours. Like I know I talked about not quitting races, but I can't cut I can't miss the cut
Yeah.
off on that one. But that's another day's conversation on that. But it was just it was class. It was if you're looking for an adventure race, one, definitely get into trails, definitely get into a couple of, don't do what I did. Get into a few IMMA races, get used to those mountains and hills and that terrain because I was not used to it. Even I did Quest last year, and that was 3 weeks after getting a marathon PB, and that showed me up with the trails and the mountain. I know I had a bit of cycling and stuff, but even when I got to the trails, I had nothing, and like I was well down, like near last finishing that race. So I should have known better, but like I know I've said it so many times, but the boys and girls that race that race, oh my god, it's like I
Yeah.
just I
It's a
have
different
so much
level, and not
respect for
only
them.
that, nighttime adds a factor.
Yeah.
Darkness, no street lights, having to trust, so in your case, a watch used to be a compass and a reference point, like it.
And there was people like the trackers that did that as well. They were checking their maps and stuff and that kind of thing. And you could speak more on that than I can. Eric, you can't see anything.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
what are
hard,
you basing it off? What are you
it's
basing it off?
hard.
You know?
Yeah, when you have like, and it's look, when you get into navigate, and people who are good at it know their pacing, how far they should have covered over certain terrain, so it gives them an indication if they should be there or not. But to take it on now, look, the GPX files make life a lot easier, but
Hmm.
you took somebody's route that is a mountain goat.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
so it's
Ricky,
in
if you're
it.
listening, I love you, but
Yeah, yes. No, but look, it's a phenomenal thing you did. So is that you done now? There's no Art O'Neill, I'll be back for you. Have you scratched it
oh,
now?
in art, I've scratched it. The idea for art for me was I've scratched that itch in terms of the adventure and stuff like that. Like it's a great race. I would recommend it for anyone that's interested in trails and interested in just like I said, that adventure through the night. So I was never tired. Like I was up at 9 o'clock that Friday morning or so, which I had to lie on for and got through it. I only like dozed in and out of sleep a little bit during the Saturday, so I got a full night's sleep Saturday night. For those that are interested in how I felt with my 49ers playing that night. I watched a little bit of Liverpool game. I could not stay awake from it. Sorry for that dig. But
Yeah,
apart from that, like I got 12 hours sleep then that night. But it's not tiring journey because there's so much going on. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like like you would experience that with your background, I'm sure. That like you're constantly thinking of the next step, the next step. Like never once during that was, God, I'd love my bed right now. And I'm someone that when it hits 9, 10 o'clock, like I want to sleep. Like now I was checking in and all. I was half dopey and stuff because I knew like it's time. I normally go to bed, that kind of thing. And I wanted to conserve energy before I started the race. It's not one of those races where you're blaring Rocky Balboa right before the start of it. It's like you need to conserve as much as you can, a lot more in the marathon. So I would recommend it for others. I wouldn't be jumping into the lottery game because to me, time wasn't a factor. I wouldn't be like, look, I think I don't know where I finished in terms of times and stuff like that. I probably was one of the last of the ultra people doing it. I know I've said that a couple of times, but that genuinely does not bother me. I'm never going to compete with your mountain goats like your Ricky Wins, your Sean Meehans, your Niamh Fitzpatrick's, your Nebro, he said, all the rest. I'm never going to compete with them. I've no urge to do that either. I'd probably get. I don't know right now, Eric. To be honest with you, I don't know. I'm still thinking like there was points during that night where I'm thinking, like we've talked off podcast about this, where 1 minute I'm like, I got this, and this, and then we've someone like a Kevin English coming on going after Mark and give your body a break and get back doing it again, and I'm not giving my body a break, and then like a 5K getting injured, even High Rocks Belgium getting to wall balls and only being able to do 3 at a time and like 9.5 minutes. I'm like, look, everyone's different at wall ball stuff like that, but for me personally, that's embarrassing.
I'm
Doing
embarrassed
that.
for you.
Well, the following week, me and you were going back 10 and 10 and stuff like that, so we were grand. But doing it by yourself is a different ball game. So
Different animal.
I 1 minute, like I'd already told you, and I believed at the time that I wasn't going to do Art O'Neill. And I was half thinking about backing out of Dunolly 50K. And I was half thinking about backing out of Barcelona because 1 minute I'm grand, I'm feeling okay. Next minute I'm like, I like the back's at me again. And I don't want to make this a woe is me. And that's why I haven't mentioned in intros, because I don't want a podcast like the whole thing's me and feel like sorry for myself and all that kind of crack. But 1 minute the body feels great, and then the next it's like, oh, you are being an idiot. And that's why my first response to Niamh when I finished was, that was fucking ridiculous. Not the race, not the event, just me. I had no business doing that. I had no business doing that race. Do you know what I mean?
We did have a chat 4 weeks ago, and I said maybe, and you were like, yeah. I was like, oh, he's gonna do it.
Yeah. Well, no, I wasn't, because we had that chat was the day the Chicago ballot came out, and I was thankful for many reasons that I did not get that. But I was on my way to see a physio because I was doing High Rocks that weekend. I think I've got my timeline right that and that. I was doing High Rocks that weekend, and he worked on my back and he worked my calves. And the calves are a very simple issue. Both of them are just tight, not up to feck, and they're just I just need to loosen them out, and that was grand. The back, I don't think we talked about this podcast. He was like, oh, it's probably your hip flexors are not strong. And he did a couple of tests. He goes, oh, no, your hip flexors are strong. And he's like, oh, it's probably your glutes. Your glutes are weak. Most runners' glutes are weak. He was doing a couple of tests, and he's like, it's not that. It could be a spine issue. It could be discs or stuff like that. And that's very possible. I've had bulging discs in the past. I've had slip discs and all that. And that has come and gone over the years. So I knew that could have been an issue, and that was bothering me leading to the High Rocks. And then, like I said, the wall balls and all the rest. And I wasn't going to talk about a New Year's Day episode because I nearly fucking died, and here's me, oh, my poor back is sore. I can't do a bit of farm work, my back is sore. I have a little bit of self-awareness not to bring that up, but I didn't train at all for 10 days. So I did that 16K run. Like, I'd done no running. Like, and people, my Strava is public. You can see how little running and stuff I've done. Some of that is genuinely laziness. Like, I just like, I'm not running today or whatever. But I've done no gym work this year. I've had the worst start to a year I've ever had. And one of the other issues was, man, I've talked about this for years, throughout December, the Advent Christmas challenge, just a bit of movement each day. I wasn't doing that. I was catching up with people. I had to get this sorted, this work. And I was putting all my, like, little bit of movement training. So I was putting all the back burner. I must have gone 3-4 gym workouts, and I was doing the long run on the weekend, but I wasn't supplementing that with all the shorter. Like, we talk about the long run's the most important run, but it should be 25-30% your weekly mileage, because those other shorter runs are just are without them, you're just doing one long run, feck all, doing that again, break your body down. You're not getting your body used to by doing the other runs with it. I haven't done intervals since, I don't know. I haven't done them
The
because I'm
longest
afraid my
time,
calf's
yeah.
gonna go. Yeah, yeah, I'm wearing
Yeah.
those shitty calf sleeves. So not to make this a woe is me kind of stuff and all the rest, but that's where I'm at. We ask where I'm going next. I don't know. And I could say all this, and 4 weeks later I do Dunavee in 4:45, be delighted with it, and start running with your Barcelona. That's a possibility. Um,
I don't
like
know.
I'm like
I don't even know if I'll make the start line of Barcelona at this stage.
or you know what? Well, I've seen other people do. We might just go to all these races from now on, just have an Any Given Runday flag, get a boombox going, and start cheering people on, and that's how we get exposure instead.
Yeah, I know it's but look, it is one thing, and a lot of people, it's some can get away with doing it all, and at sometimes, and it's something we discussed is
Mm,
maybe okay, look, you had this ticket, it was postponed, and you know, and you were kind of like, do I want to go into the lottery again? So I
mm.
understand the why. The Donady 50K, I understand your love for it. It's 5 laps.
Yeah,
If you fail, you just stop. You just sit down, take a
that's
DNF,
true.
whatever. You know, like it's we know the people that run it. It's a great day out. It's a great atmosphere. If you even just want to get a long training run for Barcelona and have a sit down, you can do that. Your pride might say otherwise when you're halfway through, but at least you know that's what you're getting into. You know, but you do kind of have to look at it and go, what's my goal? You know, people talk about
Mm,
A races, B races, and this and that. And we've talked about this maybe 2 years ago. It's like, well, what's your goal? Is it to be a high rocks champion? Is it to do long distance marathons? Is it to be a 5K expert? Is it you try to do it all in the same month?
yeah.
So it is something, but I get it, and especially the there is no pressure. This podcast is our hobby. But
Yes.
there is a little weird pressure. Like even this morning, like I look, people see my Strava and be like, 15 minutes. What's this idiot doing? I can't find like what time are races? They're at 6 in the morning. They're at, you know what I mean? I can't
Yeah.
get out of bed right now. I can't get back into that rhythm after Christmas. So I purposely made myself, and the deal was 15 minutes. And I was honestly so grateful. As soon as I
Yeah.
hit 15, I was like, bink, right, done. I did it. I said, no, I'm going back out obviously later on for a run because the evenings are actually cooler here, which is bizarre. The breeze picks up, which makes it a little bit more tolerable. But as you said, it's the little things. Like I'm trying to train myself to want to run. Like every step I
Yeah.
took today, I didn't care for it. I was like, oh, this is horrible. I wish I was in bed. I wish I was in bed, which sounds really bad. But when you get into a different routine, it's so hard to switch it back again. So for you to go from ultra marathon to high rocks, back to a marathon, to a high
Mm,
rocks, to a this, to a 5K PB, then to an Art O'Neill ultra, you know, like it is a lot, and it can be done. A lot of people are doing them all, but they're
mm,
specializing in as in the 5K race is a supplemental to the goal of the 60K race or the 50K championship or whatever it is, or it becomes part of a training session and they've built up to it. So probably something, and very rare we talk about this side of it openly, but yeah, it's probably something you have to look at now for the rest of the year and go, right, what is my plan? Where do I
I,
want to be December this year?
that I don't know because before I've been a little bit lost. Like my big goal, I've talked sub 25K, but that's to be honest, that's like a real cool thing to take off. But it's never been a big goal. Um, the 100 miles in 24 hours is huge, and after that, I've been a little bit lost. Nick Fox had a great video up today on just he was just talking about how difficult it was to be like talking in front of the camera, but then he was talking about how he absolutely loves running. There's times where I don't have I love events. I love doing that
Yeah.
with people. What I love about the Dublin Marathon is not necessarily the running part of the Dublin Marathon. It is the everything around the people get involved and I love just as much. And this year was a special one for me because I knew more people than ever doing it, especially from the gym in Clane that was doing it. And I was just as in. I genuinely was just one because I knew I wasn't going to do great myself, but I was just interested in them doing it and how they got on and seeing them build up in the training weeks and seeing them do all kind of stuff as I was in me doing it and finishing it because it was just not just another race, but it was there was nothing there. Like yeah, Barcelona was great getting the PB and all the rest. But if you asked me about that 5 years down the road, like my PB is not going to be the main thing I talk about. That it's going to be the first trip and everything else that came across the
Yeah.
and everything else came with that. Same with High Rocks in Belgium. High Rocks in Belgium wasn't about High Rocks in Belgium. It was about, the Christmas markets, going over a few people, having the crack and all the rest. It was an excuse for a weekend away. Just like, and I like doing new things. I didn't get a chance to do Spartan last year, but I'm supposed to do it now in June. The ticket again got changed to June out in Edinburgh, and that would be a weekend away with that something new. I'm never going to excel at something like that, but it gives me a chance to do more kind of gym work. I don't. Yeah, I don't know, Eric. I don't know what. I haven't said in the podcast, but one thing excites me is like the 24-hour stuff again. That there's a 24-hour race in League Slip, and someone listening's gone, Sean, you fucking idiot! You just talked about being injured.
Yeah.
That's all I haven't mentioned the podcast before now. You just talked about your back seizing up on you, and thankfully it hasn't seized up since New Year's Day, a couple of days afterwards. I was feeling it for a week, and then last Sunday was the first day where I hadn't got that kind of bad pain in the back, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah.
So a week or so it's been okay, apart from throughout the night. But that's typical running and not too much and not being used to that mileage and all the rest and that kind of stupid stuff, as opposed to the pain of things. So I don't know if the body can go fast. I don't know if I'm just talking shit right now. I don't know where
No,
I'm
but
at, Mark.
I think it was last week's episode, maybe a week before or something, and they mentioned, and it actually kind of, you know what? Funny enough, it's stuck in my head in not a positive regard. They said they love the journey, they love the training, they love everything, and I actually think that's easier said when you're fit and when you're
Yeah,
chalking down 5Ks. I'm gonna be honest. At the minute, I'm not loving the journey because it's hard. I don't get me wrong, I like that I take on hard things and I like that I'm stubborn enough to beat these hard things, but I'm not enjoying the journey at the minute. Like
mm,
I have, and in about 3 weeks I'll love the journey again because it'll still be hard, but I'll be going a bit quicker. It's not as frustrating to think about where you were. It always sits in my head. And I actually, like, even this morning, and I know it sounds stupid for people, it wasn't actually about the run. It was actually about making myself get out of bed and holding myself
yep,
accountable. And I'll do the same again tomorrow. It's not actually about the run. It's about building the habit. But the fact that I hated getting out of bed to do it, I was like, one of our group did a fantastic run. She has to get up to do her long run. She did 29K before the kids get
yeah,
up, get her day in. And I'm like, that is amazing. I can't get out of bed to do 15 minutes, and I'm just,
yeah,
and I do think the journey is great when the train has when the cart has the wheels on and everything's going smooth. And I do agree, the journey of it is absolutely amazing. But when you're that little bit fitter, even when one of the wheels might come off, it's a little bit easier to get back on, and you can like getting back to a bit of a harder day. But when you're on ground zero, it's just like
mm,
I used to do this. Like I'm out there trying to balance heart rate at a 7-minute kilometer, and then I'm walking, and then I'm jogging, and I'm like, this is miserable. This is boring. I'd be better off.
yeah.
And not only that, my usual outlets, like the treadmill that I used to survive on, is broken, and it's Africa, so that's not getting fixed. The bike, the bike that I used to use is broken, and it has been broken for 6 months. The pedal snapped off, and I've been asking for them to fix it. Hasn't been fixed. So all I have now is me and the outdoors, and there's no other option.
Mm,
So it's just misery. But I will in 2 or 3 weeks when the habit comes back. When the graw comes now, I've noticed my energy level starting to change this week. That I'm one when you're dealing with the heat, and I'm taking a vitamin B supplement and a few other things just to help me with that.
mm,
But I'm beginning. I'm not loving it right now, but I can see that that crest in the hill where you think, and then the road just goes, and you're just not motivated. I'm
yeah,
beginning to see the crest where I think on the other side is a downhill. And that's probably where you're at now as well, because without a goal, what is the journey? So now
yeah,
you're just going out to be miserable for a few hours, and that's when I started thinking, for me again, I think I'm done training on my own. I think
mm,
I think I need to latch on to people. I think when I come back, the thing we have about wanting to show up to running clubs, park runs. I think for me personally, I need to my goal is to just run with people. and be like, well, what are you doing today? And even like you were saying, I went and did my 20K run on a Sunday morning with these two people. Right now, I'd be shitting it to go and do that. But I think I need to have an attitude of, fuck it. Do you know what I mean? If I
Yeah,
die, I die, you know, and but I just need to be around people. I need to train with people. I need to then find a group. And that's why I joined the triathlon club. So eventually when I go back, I'll bite the bullet, learn how to swim again. Cause I haven't swam really since I've
mm,
done a little bit here and there, but not enough. I'll probably end up swimming 4 lengths of the pool and that'll be me. Because a club will pick an event and go, we're all doing this race. And then I'm like, now I can enjoy the journey.
yeah,
I'm on it here. I've been on and you have been on, in fairness to you, we both, because we lived apart. Usually we're on the same journey and we're trying things. And
yeah,
it's just very different. Like we were meeting each other for the runs in the Phoenix Park on a Sunday morning. My mom would go for a walk. It became routine. And then we'd solve all our problems in the week and have a coffee. I was like, right, that was really nice. I enjoyed that. And,
yeah.
you know, I haven't had it and I haven't had it in a long time. And when you're going from a high rocks to a 5K to a this, you're kind of on your own because no one else is doing the
Mm.
same thing. Very hard to find that.
Yeah, it's just too much of one thing than the other. Like it's just you're getting better at high rocks, you're not getting better at really long runs, and you're trying to get marathon training in. You're not going to be great at doing trails, and you're trying to do that in. You have no business doing quest and on the bike and that kind of stuff as well. It's like what and like if you're getting better, these like you said there, I think you're hitting that like you're gonna enjoy it more when you're getting better, when you're seeing progress. But I'm jumping and changing between two different
There
things,
is
and even if
none.
you stick to
Yeah.
running, yeah, like try you want to get a better 5K or you want to get a better marathon time. Well, which is it? You know, prioritize, periodize those things, and and spend a couple of months working on that. Whereas I've gone from like struggling through Dublin Marathon. I probably shouldn't have done Dublin Marathon because I was in a heat
Yeah.
for the last 10, 15K, and that played a toll on his body and training and mood and all the rest leading into. I know I'm pissed and moaning here, but like that all of a sudden I was like, right, you're doing high rocks now where your max is 8 kilometers, not 42, and you haven't touched the wall ball and you haven't touched sleds. You got to get all that in 6 weeks, and then while you're doing that, don't forget Art O'Neill's around the corner, and I didn't do one single trail run. And trust, like I know I talk about how great the runners are doing that race. But had I done a couple of runs, I would have been a
Yeah.
little bit better. And
Yeah.
like just getting used to that rather than waiting for a 60. And the thing was 64, 65, not 60. A 65K fucking race where
Oh.
I'm doing that for the first time. But man, and also you add in the idiot factor to all this. Part of
We
me
are
thought,
stupid, in fairness.
we're
We are.
stupid.
Yeah.
I genuinely thought if I walk a lot of this, I'm not going to be as sore.
Yeah.
Man,
You
not
still
even
run.
including the terrain and going straight up and everything else that went into it. I was in an absolute heap. Like trying to
Yeah.
get changed at the car was an absolute. She had to have the dry. I go into like she had the dry robe over me and everything. Like I was like, I can't move from here.
Yeah. That's it.
I was
Just
absolutely.
put me in the boot and drive home,
Oh,
will you?
I actually kind of hope she. I wish she did. I wish she brought the truck and just like lobbed me into the back of the truck and I'd lay there with
Yeah.
a pillow. But I've been blessed with her. I hope she doesn't hear this because I'm gonna give her a compliment and she could be in the house. But
Shh,
like she had
whisper,
everything.
whisper, will you? Whisper.
She had everything ready for me afterwards and the food and I don't want the people listening to this to whisper even lower. She even had a hot water bottle for me afterwards there with
You are gone
the
soft.
Perform
You are
electrolytes. Oh
gone
man,
soft.
that hot water bottle there because she had a blanket and everything for me. Oh, that twirl bar. And I had a coffee.
Yes.
Oh, it was so good. Right, we might edit that part out.
Well, look, it is good, and the reason being, every week we usually have a guest, and it's usually phenomenal, and it's usually
Mm,
inspirational, and I think this is, and we always said stay true to where we are. We joke about where we are. We use me as the butt of the joke for always being the 4 week training plan person, and and it's but. There is a reality behind it, and I suppose to give the honest insight, it's not always rosy.
no.
It's not always easy to get back into it. People do it far better than we do it, and we hope to improve on it. But it is the mental side of it, and this side of, and there are people out there who have gone through far worse. And I only have to look as far as
Oh,
Jer Copeland
absolutely.
and stuff, which
Yeah.
makes me feel like a sap when I'm crying, getting out of bed to do 15 minutes. But at the same time, that's the demon I have to deal with, and I'm trying to deal with it. And and look, just it's getting back to that fitness and forgetting about what's been before. Like the advice is
Mm.
all there. Know all the advice. it's just having the conversation with yourself, and when no one's around, can you, the real moral compass or the physical courage element is when nobody's watching, do you still do it?
Yeah.
It's one thing saying it, and that's what this morning for me was all about. And it was a real fight, like a real fight. And I was like 15, 20 minutes in the bed going, just get up. No,
Mm.
just get up. No. 'Cause,
It's
but
easier to do it when you're relying on someone else than it is for
fact.
just
Yeah,
yourself. But if
yeah,
someone's relying on me, if you had someone there, like someone is going to be at that treadmill at this time, you'd find a way. And the better way of putting that is if you've ever missed training sessions, stuff like that, how many times have you stayed in bed and went, not going to work today? Because you're being relied on to go to work. So it's not that
yeah.
like and I have failed a lot of them. I was supposed to go for a run now. I'll go in a half hour. I'll do this edit first, or I'll do this bit of work, or whatever it is first. And in a half hour turns into an hour and a half later. I'm like, it is too late now to get that done because I got to be at X place by
Somewhere
this
else,
time.
yeah.
And,
It's
and
kind of
that's
like,
happened.
the older we get, so the stress or the useful stress, that encourages you to do things and be focused is, my job starts at 8, so
Yeah.
I'm focused at that. It's like the brain already goes, "Yeah, but you don't need to do this." Yeah, like,
Mm.
what happens? Are you gonna die? No. So the brain's already gone, "Nah," and it's
Yeah.
it's hard, and it comes down to discipline, not even motivation, and a real fight. But yeah, I admire what you do. I couldn't do it. I know I've done things off a whim, and I've done 4-week marathon plans, but I probably had a better foundation. I've 8 weeks now to Barcelona, and I'm actually like, "Phew, I'm in
Mm.
worse nick than I was doing it the year before." Or is it, it's going to be more of the same? Is it? Can I save it? These are all the things that are going through the head. I'm hoping, please God, the treadmill comes back to life next week. It's people are using it, and after 15 minutes, it's just going jump and then doesn't come back on. So,
Oh, jeez.
and that's even worse because you're getting into your flow, and then you have to go outside. Oh, no, mosquitoes everywhere. It's just so
You lost
it.
people I'm relating to you with that one. The
Oh,
mosquitoes, the problem.
and look, but it's just another thing, and the watch is a double-edged sword because I'm running and I'm going, this is a comfortable pace. I know I can survive this for 40 minutes before it becomes, and it does, it goes from okay to unbearable pretty quickly.
Mm.
But when I see the pace, my God, it messes with my head so much. It's like
Mm.
7:05. It's like, oh, am I even running? Is
Yeah.
this worth coming out today? Would I
And
be
that's coming
better
from
off
what
in the
you've done
gym?
before as well, by the way.
Exactly.
That's not
Yeah.
coming from someone doing it. That's not, if you're running, you're doing a 7 minute kilometer. That's not a knock on you in your pace. It's coming from you being a 3:35
Yeah.
marathon runner. And a couple of years later, you're running a 7 minute pace
But
is
you
for a lot shorter distance. Like,
go back 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, New Year's Day, I was
mm,
pacing Katie at 4:55 and feeling very, very, very comfortable.
yeah.
Like and I can't even do a 5K here at a 6 minute without feeling like I'm actually, this could be, like it's just
But there's something different in that environment as well, though. When you go, like I've done races where I can't go to a certain pace, and all of a sudden you're in that environment of a race and stuff, and that's when you like the fastest I
Oh
ran was
yeah,
that New Year's Day, and what you all kind of wait, but then the
yeah,
body afterwards was like, oh,
yeah. You
let me
shouldn't have
actually
done
pay
that.
for this one. Shouldn't have done
Yeah, and
that.
look, it is just, and look, the different environment. Like people talk, I know we've had people talk about even in our recent going to Kenya and training, and you have to pull back.
Mm,
So even though there's experts saying I can't even run at a 5:30 when I'm in Kenya, and I do 3:50s here, temperature is always, and it's more so the humidity. Like you're saturated as soon as you go out. It's just hot. It's 34, 35 degrees, but 90% it's the humidity that makes you feel a little bit miserable. And it just, I'm sorry about this whole, enjoy the journey. I'm like, I don't know.
yeah, one of my goals is to enjoy the journey, but a
That
lot of
is my
times it's not
goal, and
there. If I'm
it
honest,
hurts
it's
me.
not there right
It's
now. Like,
hurt me. It's not there right now, but it will get there. And I'm going out doing that. And I said, well, look, well done. You did 15 minutes. You did what you said you were going to do. You fought it for a little while, but you did what you do. And then like 5 o'clock tonight, I'm going out for 40 minutes. Like
yeah,
it's to try and just do that 15 minutes. And then eventually we'll try and switch into, because we have to run a race at 8 o'clock in the morning. So I have to get used to running early and stuff.
yeah.
Yeah. So, but look, hopefully people are not in the same boat as us, but hopefully because our guests are so fantastic and so motivated and
Class.
so disciplined, and then we kind of feel like frauds sitting there talking to them, but the reality is this is what we're going through, and it's important to know, and we will stick at it and we will come out the other side, and then I'll get Jer Copeland to train me for a 3-hour marathon if he can do it. That's going to be his. That actually might kill him. Try, trying to
Jesus.
train me, trying to train me could break him. Um, but yeah, the reality of and getting back going and getting back into it, and the doom and gloom of a goal coming or a race coming very quickly when you're not ready for it. But all will be good. You just have to trust it. The only thing I am doing well is just trusting it and just
Mm.
showing up to the session and getting what you can done within reason to be able to train again tomorrow, sticking to the same principles I've done. Just very frustrating with paces,
Yeah.
and I've even stopped writing on my Stravas. I just hit the watch and I just get in the
Oh,
shower. I
yeah.
don't even think about it because if I look at the pace, I'll be disgusted. But it's just the reality of it. It's just running off field as opposed to the watch and getting into it. But hopefully now we do have Barcelona. You will see. I'll be at the Donadie 50K. It's such a great race. I can see, like, I know myself. I've no business, so I'm not even going to.
Mm.
Like a 5-hour cut off me 50K when I can't even do. I haven't done a half
Mm.
marathon in God knows how long. I'm like, no way. But you have such a love for it. I understand why you're like, sure. If I get to halfway in good nick, could I keep going? And sure, a DNF is a DNF. What harm?
Probably the way I lean. If I had to put money on it, I'd probably end up doing it. The only reason I won't do it is if I get another flare up my lower back.
Yeah.
Because I've DNF before, I'll DNF again in races. I've never DNF'd done a D though. Expect there's something about that 5-hour cutoff, just like
Yeah.
and that walk off and all the rest, and yeah, I've never DNF'd that. But then there's just like done a D, and the one reason I love events, like we've a few people hanging out afterwards because you're home. There's people coming across the country over, and it's turned into a kind of an event afterwards, and that kind of full day is what I really love. And the one thing I do want to wrap up this podcast on is, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves with times and all the rest. And I mean this in a good way. I've said it before in the podcast. No one gives a shit.
No one cares.
Like no one
Only us.
cares. It's Yeah, you're putting that pressure on yourself, and I put that pressure on myself. Like I said, I finished the Art O'Neill in what was it, 13 and a half hours, something like that. I was probably, in terms of the ultras, I was probably one of the last doing it, crossing the line. But like, I got so many great comments and messages and stuff, go on and stuff like that, and give me this encouragement. And I got to see some of that during the checkpoints. It was kind of hard to get near people just to signal and stuff and all the rest. But seeing that was really cool. But no one ever went, Jesus, going pretty slow there, Sean. Pick it up, Sean, or
Yeah.
anything like that. When they finished, it wasn't like, don't know if you're posting that time up now, Sean, or anything like that. And that doesn't happen in races. Like I did even double marathon there, over 4 hours doing it. For me, my second worst marathon. No one came up to me and was like, what's up with that? Because, like, not that I was, but other people that do have 3-hour marathons, one time it could be a 4. You don't know everything that's going around them, the training leading up into it. Just because it's not a video game, just because you've hit a 3.5 marathon doesn't mean the next one's going to be on that level, or a faster one. It all has its ups and downs, and I do believe that there's times where you just, the journey of it is great. I do love it as much as as being in the race when it clicks. But
Yeah.
sometimes, like right now, it's not clicking because and that's kind of like the way this podcast is, in terms of we have different guests, different pulls, and I can be very influenced with it. Like I know we've got people from Trike and stuff coming up, and I'm like, oh, I'm not doing it at the moment because I knew all this stuff was coming up. I had a small bit of sense, Eric, small bit of sense, pull,
Limited,
not do
but
Trike.
small bit.
But it's still at times there's people there that I want to do doubles with, and they're like, no, and thank God they said no the way I am. But like I could be influenced each week going, oh fuck, that sounds class. Now I was listening about uphill mountain running, going, I know
No.
better. I'm not good from that. That was how much respect to him. I knew I wasn't good at that, but it can sometimes, like, I can be influenced, get pulled in different directions on it. Just like we were pulled years ago in the Tom Hogan thing, and that's how I ended up doing high rocks because of him.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then just seeing her at the gym doing it, and that's how I started with that. But I'm kind of going in circles in that one. I don't know what I learned. I don't know where I'm going with this, but if you DNF, you DNF. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, just and I think that's a good one. A lot of people, including myself, just fuck it. Like
Yeah.
as long as it's within my remit, I just give it a go. Same as the training sessions. I'm just like, oh, I have to do intervals. Fuck it, just start. And like I even
Start and see
failed
what
a
happens.
training session the other day. I was supposed to do 50 minutes. I got to 40 and heart rate was in the 180s and it was supposed to be an easy run. I was like, yeah, okay. We've done all we can today. Let's go again tomorrow, and hopefully people, if you are and the year hasn't started, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes we've had a great start to a year. Sometimes we don't, and that's okay. And like that, we're not loving the journey at the minute, but it will come back. It might be lovable in March. We
Yeah.
just have to keep plugging away and do the little things right and look after ourselves and focus on the recovery side as opposed to the pacing side and making sure we're training right. So if we follow our own advice, we'll be good, but we'll check back in maybe after Barcelona Marathon and see how it worked out.
Absolutely, because we got a couple of great guests lined up on the podcast over the next couple of weeks. And on that note, thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Any Given Runday podcast.
Before we go,
We're not done up yet.
Don't forget, we will be at the Expo, Northern Ireland.
Northern Ireland.
7th, 8th,
7th and
9th, 7th and 8th of February. So if you are listening and you're looking to come see an expo, try food, look at all the running gadgets for 2026 without the pressure of a race, we will be there interviewing a couple of our previous guests, and we'll be there on the day, both days. So please do, if you fancy taking the spin up, come and have a look, give us some support, and hopefully we see some of you there.
Yeah, my Super Bowl weekend got ruined because of feckin' last night's game. So I'm looking forward to that now more so than anything else that weekend. No one talking about the Super Bowl over it. With that said, that is this week's episode of the Any Given Runday podcast. So myself and Eric, take care.